ប្រថ្លើមថ្លៃក្តី A magical scene, it's a new place, a kingdom of wonder, where temples smile and rivers thunder. It's a new place, a rising star, a kingdom of wonder, Cambodia. Cambodia. Enter our realm, discover the light, a blessing of gold, enchanting its night. It's an adventure, a kingdom of wonder, a magical spell you've fallen under. It's a new place, a rising star, a kingdom of wonder, Cambodia. Cambodia.
Cambodia, Kingdom of Wonder.
A magical scene, it's a new place, a kingdom of wonder, where temples smile and rivers thunder. It's a new place, a rising star, a kingdom of wonder, Cambodia. Cambodia. place, a rising star, a kingdom of wonder, Cambodia. 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 Follow the lake where dolphins sleep. Wander a forest so ancient and deep. It's an adventure, a kingdom of wonder. The dream of your life just crossed the border. It's an adventure, a kingdom of wonder. The dream of your life. Cambodia. 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 The dream of your life. Cambodia. A kingdom of wonder. Cambodia. A rising star. Cambodia. A kingdom of wonder.
Cambodia, Kingdom of Wonder.
You hear me?
Of gold, enchanting its night. It's an adventure, a kingdom of wonder, a magical spell you've fallen under. It's a new place, a rising star, a kingdom of wonder, Cambodia. 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 Follow the lake where dolphins sleep. Wander a forest so ancient and deep. It's an adventure, a kingdom of wonder. The dream of your life just crossed the border. It's an adventure, a kingdom of wonder. The dream of your life. Cambodia. 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 The dream of your life. Cambodia. A kingdom of wonder. Cambodia. A rising star. Cambodia. A kingdom of wonder.
Cambodia, Kingdom of Wonder.
Recording in progress.
នេះខ្ញុំសូមគោរពជំរាបសួរអាយដាមលោកជំទាវគណៈប្រតិភូជាតិអន្តរជាតិអស់លោកស្រីអ្នកនាងកញ្ញាសូមស្វាគមន៍ជាបន្តមកកាន់ការផ្សាយផ្ទាល់សមាជលើកទី23របស់សមាគមអ្នកវាយតម្លៃអចលនវត្ថុអាស៊ានដែលមានកម្ពុជាជាម្ចាស់ផ្ទះ Chief delegates, participant members, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the 23rd ASEAN Valuers Association Congress hosted by Cambodian Valuers and Estate Agents Association live from Phnom Penh, Cambodia. អរលោកលោកស្រីអ្នកនាងកញ្ញាភ្ញៀវជាតិនិងអន្តរជាតិជាកិច្ចចាប់ផ្ដើមនៃកម្មវិធីក៏ដូចជាចាប់ផ្ដើមនៅកិច្ចពិភាក្សានេះខ្ញុំសូមការអនុញ្ញាតថ្លែងអំណរគុណដល់ម្ចាស់ឧបត្ថម្ភនៃកម្មវិធីរបស់យើងដែលមានដូចជាក្រុមហ៊ុន Vidras Appraisal ដែលជាក្រុមហ៊ុនវាយតម្លៃអចលនទ្រព្យនៅកម្ពុជាដោយប្រើនៅបច្ចេកវិទ្យា Digital Indication Plus ក៏ដូចជាថ្លែងអំណរគុណដល់ម្ចាស់ឧបត្ថម្ភនៃកម្មវិធីមួយទៀតនោះគឺផ្ទះវិឡាលំហែកាយបែបអឺរ៉ុប Forest Harmony និង Golf Harmony ដែលជាគម្រោងផ្ទះវិឡាធំជាងគេមុនដំបូងគេនៅក្នុងខេត្តកំពត Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, once again, thank you for your time with us. And before we begin the live panel discussion, I would like to take this opportunity to thank to our special sponsors such as Vidras Appraisal as Indication Plus, Luxury Holiday Villas, forest harmony and Gulf harmony, the first and biggest holiday villas project in Cambodia. លោកស្រីនាងកញ្ញាសូមអនុញ្ញាតយកឱកាសនេះដើម្បីចូលរួមជាពិសេសសម្រាប់លោកអ្នកនាងដែលជាសមាជិកសមាជិកានៃអង្គសមាជយើងខ្ញុំដោយយើងនឹងចាប់ផ្ដើមជាមួយនឹងកិច្ចពិភាក្សាទី1នៅក្នុងនោះចាយើងមានអ្នកសម្របសម្រួលកម្មវិធីចាគឺលោកមេសានេះខ្ញុំនឹងប្រកល់ភារៈបន្តជូនដល់លោកស៊ុនមេសាដើម្បីលោកបន្តដំណើរនៅក្នុងការផ្សាយផ្ទាល់នៃកិច្ចពិភាក្សារបស់យើង Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I would like now to hand over the panel's discussion to our moderator, Mr. Sun Mesa. Please, Mr. Mesa.
All right, thank you, Ms. Zana, for your introduction, a very warm and brilliant introduction. Thank you, everyone, and welcome to our first topic discussion on evaluation in the mid of pandemic. I believe that our panel guests enjoy your lunch, and I believe that no one have no lunch yet. All right, so we have 4 guest speakers here, one from Cambodia, one from Indonesia, one from Malaysia, and one from Singapore, and moderator from Cambodia as well. All right, so let me welcome Mr. Wong Sokal. He's the chairman of We Trust Appraisal. Second, Mr. Muhammad Amutakin, president of Indonesia Society of Appraisers. Third, Mr. Lim Lang Hong, executive director, Rand and Home International. Last but not least, Mr. Milton Tan, founder and managing director of the Twin Pillar. Ladies and gentlemen, so our panel guests, so I would like you to introduce yourself. So we follow the alphabet of Asian. So Mr. Sokal, take your floor first, and followed by Mr. Amutakin, and then Lim Lang Hong, and the last one, Mr. Milton. Take your floor, sir.
Okay, good afternoon.
Mr. Sokal, are you with us?
You can hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. So again, good afternoon. Your Excellency, Dr. Phon Manirot, Deputy Prime Minister of Economy and Finance, Soknim, President of AVA, and also members, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sokal, and thank for Mesa for arranging this kind of opportunity for me to join this AVA 23rd events. And I'm as a chairman of We Trust Appraisal, and as well as chairman of SHG Finance. And I also hold a couple of independent directors in Wing Bank, and also in Daiichi Life Insurance, Japan. In addition to that, I also have various board advisory roles, including in the financial service, real estate, investment, insurance, and technology. So thank you very much for my opportunity to introduce myself. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sokal. So, Mr. Amutakin, please.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mesa. Good afternoon and assalamualaikum to all of participants. Our President AVA, our panelists, our moderator, and all of the participants. Thank you very much for the opportunity for me to the panelists of this discussion. My name is Muhammad Adil Mutakin. I'm president of Indonesian Society of Appraisal, or we call it MAPI, Masyarakat Profesi Penilai Indonesia. And now I'm to managing partner of the Mutakin Bambang Purwanto Rojak Uswatun Affiliation Company we established in 2009. Okay, I think my short introduction. Thank you.
Hi, Mr. Amotakin. Yeah, we know your association very well, MAPI. So now, Mr. Lim Lang Hong, take your floor, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you for this opportunity to meet all the people. Yeah, there's a challenge on the echo and the sound. And this morning I saw 800 over participants, but now it's only 482 for their afternoon nap, siesta time. I'm a graduate in land economy from University of Aberdeen. I'm already 62 years old, so looking at retirement very soon. And I'm director of Rain and Horn, which is one of the professional firms in valuation, real estate, property management, market studies in India. And I'm also in the exco of Persatuan Penilaian Swasta. We call it the I behind. We don't encourage drinking Pepsi, but we are PEPS, not for Private Valuers Association. All right, let's have a good time together. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lim. Last but not least, our honorable guest speaker, Mr. Milton Tan, founder and managing director of Twin Pillars.
Thank you, and good afternoon, Mr. Chrek Soknim, President of AVA, and good afternoon to all the chief delegates as well as distinguished guests. It's a pleasure to be invited just to be a panelist. Well, basically I'm a founder and also the managing director for Twin Pillars. We do business assets valuations, specializing in plant and machinery. Yeah, so feel free, anyone who wishes to know more about plant and machinery, you may always, give me a call, have a chat, or send me an email. All right, so let the show begin.
Okay, thank you, our honorable guest speaker. So, like we know earlier that our guest speaker from 4 different countries, so we will understand deeply on the topic evaluation in the mid of pandemic, whether how it is in Cambodia and how it is in Indonesia, how it was happened during the pandemic in Malaysia, and how it was happened in Singapore. So first of all, I would like to invite Mr. Sokal. I have 2 questions for you, but one I ask from once at a time. So Mr. Sokal, how did we trust found out any challenging and opportunity during the pandemic for this 2 years?
So thank you, Mesa, again for your question. Let me prepare something. Okay. All right, so can everyone hear me? Can everyone hear me?
Everyone, our on guest,
Can you
because
hear
we
me?
doing presentation online. So make sure that everyone connected to the internet, and yeah, be careful with your mic. You need to turn on before you talk. Thank you, sir.
All right. Milton, you see my slide?
Yes, I can see your slide.
Yep. All right. So thank you, Mesa, for your question on what will be the challenges and the opportunity during our COVID-19 starts in 2019. So as you have seen, we are no different with other countries when we in COVID-19 situation. So you may face a travel limitation, and same time you may have no in-person meeting, as well as certain businesses, the business operation will scale down, and another challenge will be you lack of skill and talent, resources, and many more challenges. In addition to that, there are also partly or fully locked down in certain countries and in the world. You might not be able to cross country, all right? And the worst case scenarios are happening as well in many countries. Certain business were closed. So there's many more challenges happening during the COVID-19 last couple of years. However, we also found there are a few opportunities that we have seen, and those opportunities you have seen that they are looking to have an eco credit needs. So meaning that a consumer may not be stopping asking for liquidity and financing. On top of that, certain developer, they would like to grow their eco development at a strategic areas to serve their consumer needs. Having said that, we have seen the opportunity of eco online services, whereby some of the businesses may not considering in their past operation. When the COVID-19 happened, everyone moved to online. And on top of that, they also providing the self-access eco services to their customers. And last but not least, we have seen a lot of requirement also that the property valuation from the independent body, like all of us here, because normally the buyer or seller may have a different perspective, like some presenter this morning have mentioned. But we are a professional real estate expertise, so we provide our independent opinion on the property valuation, so to serve their needs order. So with this challenge and opportunity, we are looking to have some solutions to serve during the COVID-19. Okay, so that's all from me, Mesa. Thank you.
The challenging and opportunity during pandemic in COVID-19 that we just have found out. So my second question to you, so what are the solution and lesson learned from the pandemic that we just have found, specifically in Cambodia?
So, yep, we do find the strategic solution whereby I think many of us in the event have also put in place some of the new ideas to serve during the COVID-19 last couple of years. However, let us share what we have done, and before go into the detail, I would like to share a bit of the story behind. Actually, prior to this pandemic COVID-19, I had a lengthy discussion with my sincere partners brother group chairman Kuivat. I think maybe many of you have known him. So he's the group chairman of our Zilenium group company. And we have discussed this kind of solution since last few years. What, why, how, when, and which the collaborative solution between the real estate and financial sector, including non-bank services. So he asked me when I could be handing with him to make the collaborative solution realized and growing. So that's my reason to shift my career from financial service sector to join my partner in last year, 2020. And after my over 22 years in banking, so I have been inside out with the banking sector. I've started 3 commercial banks in my past career, and I also conduct one of the merger and acquisition between microfinance deposit taking and a commercial bank in the kingdom. And it marked as the first history for National Bank Cambodia in 2015, 2016 to merge the 2 entities as a commercial bank. Okay, so let me go into what the challenge and opportunity and what the solution that we are thinking. So when I joined with my partner last year, so we come up with a solution called Indication Plus, and this Indication Plus is a platform, and we are seeing that the demanding of the real estate valuation is robust in the financial sectors. The reason because I have not been in the real estate, but I'm a customer. I'm using the real estate services. So I actually understood what the consumer are looking for. They are not looking to spend times to spend a lot of money or to go for this company and that company. They would like to have a certain platform whereby they can do their own information input and request, and they can get almost instant property valuation services. So we discussed and we come up with this Indication Plus platform. So this Indication Plus platform, we aim to serve financial institution in this market around 160 plus, and also agents who are serving the buyer seller, for example, around 1 million plus, real estate brokers, company who providing consulting, advising, investment, real estate agents, as well as the individual that holding the property, and they would like to know what will be their property values. So we found there around 7 million plus property holders in the Ministry of Land, and so we see a lot of opportunity, and we need that kind of a robust platform to enable them to access. So how we go with, let me show you the next one. So we are having both a web platform and as well as app platform. Our web platform will be, so we will be serving the customers and who are required in a list of the property, who want to manage their internal users, for example. So we have user level management, and they would like to have the reports to analyze, to understand their performance, for example. And we do provide also the mapping of all the property listed in our platform, and we provide reporting tool. So all of these separate our user. So for the web platform, the user will be for financial institutions, various consultant firms, real estate brokers, and the agent of the real estate.
Mr. Sokhal, can you have 1 minute to finish your, because we about 20 minutes now, and we have other 3 guest speakers waiting. Sorry.
So we also providing app platform, and the key feature will be around the individual customer holding their cases, and they want to have a reports, they want to have a map of their property, and they would like to analyze their property as well. So individual, these agents, brokers, and agents of the real estate will be able to use it, and we will be in minutes. We will issue the valuation reports to them. And last but not least, this is the benefit of their access. So both corporate and the individual will able to take this kind of benefit, self and direct access their service. They can have their value, location, and map property instantly, and they have a sale recovery history data. They can check what will be the last year or a couple of years of this property holding. They also can leverage the real estate marketplace when we roll out our marketplace next year. And also they can do a personal real estate and personal finance management in our platform. And last but not least, so they will be able to self-manage their own information and documents. So digitally, they can store their title deed, the property owner's title. So everything is in one. So they will be enjoy this kind of platform. So we have been rolled out for our web platform already early this year, and especially the financial institution have been using very effectively. So that's all from me, and thank you very much for your attention, and feel free to have any question.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Sokhal. We believe that we will have another question for you, but now I would like to move to Mr. Milton Tan. I have one question for you. Can you during the pandemic 19, what are the top key challenges during pandemic 19 for valuation for the property? Can you share us? Mr. Milton Tan, make sure that your mic unmute.
Okay, I'm unmute. Okay, for challenges during COVID-19, I think all valuers, not necessarily just the real estate valuers, even plant and machinery valuers, business valuers, we also find it pretty challenging. So here are the 4 points that I would like to stress on. They are availability of market information, volatility, market volatility, validity period for your reports, as well as work arrangement due to travel restrictions. So these are the 4 key elements which I find that is really important. Now, for the availability of market information, what we are trying to say here is that the recent latest transaction may not necessarily reflect the market going forward, or perhaps when you are at the start of the COVID-19, let's say at somewhere around March or April, where everything was sliding, and your last transaction could be, towards the end of 2019, So things like that, you are actually still taking a pretty high transaction as part of a historical records while you are doing your valuation. So I think with that, I think it is not truly reflective. But and even if you are doing a valuation now in 2021 on the Singapore context, and if your transaction is like, let's say, end of last year, beginning of this year, that will actually give a slightly lower value. But of course, this is where you have to, look forward into the future. And now that there's a certain recovery stage, but again, what is really intriguing and really irritating is that this COVID-19 causes the country to open up. Next thing, you have to close down and shut down and then open up again. And, it is pretty erratic in that area. All right. So, and that really causes the part of the market volatility as well. There's uncertainty in the market movement. Are things going to be well? You look at the oil industry. Nobody knew that you would go negative in I think somewhere in April 2020. Then the next thing, there's supply chain issues, logistics issues and things like that, which affects the entire market. So the market trends may not necessarily be reflective in these 2 years. But again, it doesn't mean that we can't, use it, but use it with caution, use it with care. And of course, we definitely want to see a positive sign, that COVID-19 will be gone, hopefully soon. Somebody may just discover some new medicine for it. And now that I think most countries are quite fully vaccinated. So I think that would actually help in opening up of all the borders, right? And coming to the validity period, and because of all these lacking of information, market volatility, now in the past, your valuation report can be, let's say, last for 1 year. But I noticed in 2020 and even till now, every valuer has actually shortened the validity period to about 3 months, because what we can see now is right now, this period of time, between 3 to 6 months, that's about it. So I think for the purpose of the valuers being cautious about it, definitely we have to shorten the validity period of the valuation reports. And even the banks or even the stock exchange, they actually, do ask for certain updates on the valuation of the property, plant and machinery, and so on. So things like that, we often have to, we have been very busy, but unfortunately, because the market economy not doing well, I think the fees are pretty squeezed. All right. Working arrangement due to travel restriction, which is my 4th point. And if you notice, this has caused lots of challenges, especially for inspections. One moment everything is locked down. Next moment you are not allowed to visit certain places with more than 2 persons. You have to make all the necessary arrangement and so on. You got to wear mask. Sometimes you got to wear full PPE. Everything. So this has actually caused a lot of travel work arrangement and restriction. You are not supposed to work from office. You are supposed to work from home. And it so happened that based on my experience, I had a valuation in Vietnam. Luckily, we had our own internal partners to actually carry out the inspections for us in Vietnam. But even then, on a local, national basis, they even have different district lockdowns as well. So, and it so happened that during that period of time where we wanted to do inspection, my local partner over there said, "Oh, sorry, Milton, we can only start the inspection, about 2 weeks time." And I say, "Well, no choice." Yeah. So with that, I think these are the 4 challenges. That I can.
We have only
think
10
of.
minutes more, and we have to guest speaker our thing. So, Mr. Milton, you have 1 minute
so
to finish.
that's where I end. Yeah. That's right. That's right.
I'm
That's where
sorry
I
to
am.
interrupt you. I'm sorry.
No problem. Anything else?
No, I think we have for you only one question. Yes, and thank you for your sharing on the top key challenges during the pandemic. Yes, and thank you for your information that you're sharing from valuation in Vietnam and many keys and very practical key challenges during the pandemic. Thank you, Mr. Milton, for your time. So related to this challenging, I would like to ask Mr. Min Liang Hong, Executive Director and Ryan and Home International. Only one question for you. What is the method of valuation for the hotel after pandemic? Because there's no visitor for the last 2 years. So what is the method then, Mr. Lim Lang Hong?
Thank you very much. I tell you a real thing, right? The COVID-19 is just like you're in the room right now and the light is switched off. What are you going to do? That is COVID-19. You can't see anything. You don't know where to walk. And that's how we felt when the lockdown happened, when COVID-19 was announced. And we had a real situation where the client asked us to value a hotel, in fact, 2 hotels, and in Phuket and Singapore as well. So the valuation was done before COVID, 2019. And then in 2020, they request for revaluation. You know, the panic, we are stricken.
Yeah.
You know, you are the valuer now. What are you going to do? There's no figures. You have to supposed to look at the accounts for the last 2 years, and 2020 is 0. You can't get anything. So we and our partners actually relook at earlier figures, and the consensus that we arrive at is that the profits method of the previous valuation, we do a discounting of some sort for the pandemic, but we have to back it up with the asset value, which is the cost. That means land plus building, you know, if alternative use, if there's currently you can use for hotel, maybe the property can be used for other things. But on the whole, I think all of us would agree that we are looking at a more optimistic future. That means that this is not going to last forever, hopefully. And we hope that we can come to a recovery. And in fact, as you know, Phuket is also open up on their bubble kind of economy and all that.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to open up. But here and there, we do see option prices, you know, offer all over in Malaysia too. But as a whole, I think asset value still holds quite well in most ASEAN countries, including Malaysia, Thailand, Singapore, because landed and land-based assets, they seem to be able to attract the confidence. And so finally, we were able to relook at the previous accounts, although it was pre-COVID. We did a discounting on it, but not so much. You know, we give about 15 to 20% off the kind of occupancy rate and all that. But the real situation is that some of the hotels in Malaysia and Singapore, they finally had some income through their quarantine center. You know, they use it as quarantine center. So that was also a saving kind of method for them to recover some income. And some hotels are able to survive through that period of time. And that our valuation, in a way, is not wrong when we say that you have 30 seconds to finish. I'm sorry. I'm really, really sorry. I really
I really love your sharing, and I would like to have 2 hours for discussion, but actually we have only 4 minutes for sharing. So please try to finish it because timekeeper just alert me every time. Yes.
Okay. So I think in whatever you do, please remain calm, whether it's COVID or other kind of circumstances. Don't panic, and then you'll be able to overcome your problem. So that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Lim Lang Hong. I think everyone here, if you have any question, message him directly through Zoom, yeah, and can get the contact from Mr. Tan and Mr. Lim Lang Hong. So my last question to the President of Indonesian Society of Appraiser, Mr. Amutakin, your advice, what should valuer do in conducting appraisal during the COVID pandemic to deal with the property that is the market uncertainty? Your floor, sir.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mesa. As we know, COVID-19 pandemic has a big impact for the valuer profession directly or indirectly. It gives us a limitation on activity, limitation on inspection and access to the property, limitation interaction, intensive interaction with the client, limitation data and information, and limitation for the market data. This condition causes the uncertainty property market, which finally will influence the market value of the property will be valued. In this situation, valuers are still expected their opinion always independent, objective, professional, and accurate. Regard with the pandemic COVID-19, International Valuation Standard Committee and many valuer professional organizations like Appraisal Institute, RICS, API, NZI, PI, and include in Indonesia, MAPI, and Center of Final Profession Supervisory has released a statement to alert the valuer to be careful and prudent to do the assignment of this condition. So what should valuer do in this situation? Valuer have a professional duty to keep up to date with the latest government and regulatory requirement in their jurisdiction and locality. Valuer have to pay attention in procedure and health protocol in conduct the valuation. So we have to take a responsibility approach to valuation, inspection, and investigation that prioritizes the safety of the general public and those undertaking the work. As we know, in the valuation has a 3-step activity. The first is define scope of work. Implementation include inspection, investigation, data analysis, use of the methodology, and the third is in reporting. In every step, we have to careful and prudent to do this work. In the scope of work, usually if we get requests from client to do evaluation, we have to ensure the scope of work. Ensure that is there any limitation to do site inspection of the property? Is the property can be inspected or not? The second, we must ensure the availability data and information of the valuation object. And then we have to ensure the availability data and information related to the object. The limitation of the nature and context extent of the value work, including any restriction on inspection, should be specified and agreed in the term of engagement or in the scope of work. If we are unable to form opinion of the value from the information collected and provided, in which case they should, we must decline the instruction following an appropriate discussion with the client. This condition, if we have no confidence to do the solution, we must decline the instruction. Then failure should carefully consider their liability under any instruction, including whether this is impacted by any limitation, restriction, or assumption. Some failure may be choosing to limit their liability where they are providing the restricted services. In the implementation, including inspection, including data compilation and analysis, if the object of violation limited inspection, the failure has to state within the scope of the assignment or in the approved minutes by the parties. If we can do the inspection, we can do a desktop violation with a limited violation. This can be done if we do the reappraisal. For the new appraisal, we have to state this is the limiting valuation. Related to the limited market data, COVID-19 impact the situation of change of economic and finance. It's had an effect on uncertainty data and indicator of finance and economic. So failure can use secondary data accessed by electronic media or virtual, or the analysis has to be done carefully.
All right.
Yeah. If the object of violation can be inspected and verified, failure can categorize the violation to limited violation. Okay. It has to follow procedure in violation standard. All we have to follow the standard. Okay. In use of assumption, failure must be careful in using assumption and always state limitation. Is there any influence considered or not?
Okay.
Yeah, this limitation must be informed in the appraisal report.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It needs to be statement in the scope of work and valuation report if there is no the certainty of the value. But the whole process to determine the assumption must be comply with the valuation standard and best practice reference apply.
Okay, Mr. Mutakin, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. I believe we have a many follow-up questions on this topic because COVID-19 during this 2 year, our Asian property market, it is like it's still it has degrees of buying, and no one in the Asian report, no one in Asian that the market can be better than the other. Most of us are stuck in the market. But anyhow, I think everyone, ladies and gentlemen in here, or the guest speaker outside, or the people from Asia, if you want to have any question, please ask them. Go to their websites, go to their contact, or can go to his own channel to connect to ask further information. I believe that our 4 guest speakers really have a very precise and concise information for you. But I would like to end our panel discussion. And before we ending, can our technical team make a photo for us? Yes, before ending, right? Yes, a very good thing. Yes, no picture, no proof. Mr. Mutakin, am I right?
Proof to who?
Okay, thank you so much. So our guest speaker later on, MC will tell you that she will give you the letter of appreciation. So stay tuned on that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Misa, for being such a very helpful moderator. We saw that you try your best and we appreciate it. And thank you as well to our 4 speakers in the very first panel discussions. Obviously, it tells that all the speakers have a lot to say and have a lot to share during the pandemic. And I cannot wait probably and hopefully until next year, we all can meet physically and talk face to face. But for now, and I like the advice from Mr. Lim Lien Hong, just stay calm and take care until we meet. And then we all can actually find out what will happen to all of us as ASEAN members during the pandemic. But we also have to apologize because we don't have that much time. So we need to really move on to the next panel discussion. So ladies and gentlemen, our Congress today has been very active. We have so many participants joining us live. We received a lot of questions, and I hope our speakers will take their time to answer the questions and to make everybody satisfied and happy with our event today. Well, looks like the next moderator is now ready. So I would like to hand over this session to Mr. Lun Boray. Mr. Boray will take over and will look after everyone. Please, Mr. Boray. Thank you.
So, a very good afternoon, Excellency, ladies and gentlemen. Again, I'm Professor Lun Boray, advisor to the AVA President. And of course, it's my sincere honor to facilitate the second panel discussion, focusing on the challenge on the application regulation during this pandemic. So as we already run through our third AVA Congress, I am sure this morning you guys have already listened, speak up, share from many speakers across different countries in Asia. So we do believe that these 40 minutes discussion will enlarge discussion to the rest of the participants. So not to take more time, let me introduce our guest of honor. Of course, our first panelist is Mr. Seng Piwat. He is actually a head of valuation, real estate division, real estate business, and pawn shop regulator of Cambodia. And our second speaker in particular, Ms. Sintra Wulan Rati. Actually, she is a head of subdivision, appraiser, actuary, other financial profession, Center of Financial Professions, Superior Ministry of Finance, and exactly from Republic of Indonesia. Third speaker is Kitty Palpa.
Kitty is enough. Kitty is enough.
Pibong, actually, he did a wonderful presentation this morning. I appreciate you very much, sir. It's an honor. Actually, he's a vice president of Valuator Association of Thailand, our very neighboring country, as a good friend. Last but not least, of course, Ms. Wang Heng Lee, first vice president, Singapore Institute of Surveyor and Evaluator. By looking at our 4 speakers, we do believe that even it's going to be a little bit short, but I'm sure that our discussion is going to be amazing. So let's start by giving a floor to our speaker, short introduction. I'm sure you guys want to say more. Let's keep it short, clear, clean, and wonderful. Of course, start from an Asian alphabetical order. I will give a floor to our Cambodian friend, starting with letter C, Mr. Seng Piwat. The floor is yours, please, sir. Just a quick, short introduction. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Boray. First of all, I would like to appreciate the leadership of the ASEAN Valuers Association, the Secretariat, and member of our for preparing such a wonderful Congress. And I would also like to extend my sincere gratitude to His Excellency Juana, Director General of Real Estate Business and Pawn Shop Regulator, for giving me the opportunity to join this Congress. And I have a great honor and pleasure to attend this Congress as a panelist on the second topic. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you very much, Mr. Pivot. Of course, we go to the next one is our Indonesian friend. So why don't you give us a short introduction, please? Come on.
Thank you, Professor Bori. Honorable President AVA, Mr. Chrek Soknim, distinguished Chief Delegate and all delegates of AVA countries, and honorable panelists, Mr. Sanctified, Mr. Kitty Patpong Pibo, Mrs. Kwang Heng Lee, and honorable all participants, good afternoon for all of you. My name is Chitra Bulan Ratri, and I'm here on behalf of Center of Financial Profession Supervisory, Ministry of Finance of Republic of Indonesia. Currently, there are 3 professions under our authority. They are profession in accountancy and actuaries and also appraisers. Currently, I am the head of subdivision of appraisers, actuaries, and other financial profession. I'm delighted and I'm honored being here to share the challenge on implement the regulation related failure during the COVID-19 pandemic in Indonesia. Thank you, Professor Bori.
Thank you very much, Citra. So having Singapore friends here is wonderful. So as part of Asian, of course, when we are talking about regulation, Singapore would be #1. We know, we all know. So now let's start from our next friend, Wang Heng Lee. Please give us a short introduction. Can you do a mute, please, Lee?
Wang Heng Lee.
All right.
Kitty.
Okay. Thank you, Professor. Good afternoon, Honorable President of AVA Congress and dear panelists and also participant delegates. Yes, thank you for this time to share. I'm actually the first Vice Chairman of the Valuation General Practice Division of SISB. I'm also the Chairperson for the Valuation Committee in Singapore. Besides that, I am working for the Cushman & Wakefield Group. Now I am a consultant. I decided to hand over the reins for being a head to the next generation and also teaching in NUS. That is my experience as well as my role. So I'm taking up more specialized projects nowadays for valuation. Thank you.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you very much, Lee. So now let's go to our last friend again. Mr. Kitty, this morning you had a wonderful presentation. I earn and pay attention from the beginning to the end. Why don't you give us a short more introduction, please, sir?
Thank you, Professor Bore. As you know, I am Vice President of the Valuer Association of Thailand. Besides this job, I am the Chairman of Housing Finance Association. Before that, I was President of Government Housing Banks and Deputy Governor of the Bank of Thailand. So I'm a bit on the side of financials. I hope that I can give you some information on this discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So again, Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, it is my sincere honor to facilitate such a big group, insightful, mature speaker, focusing on what we call the application of regulation during COVID-19. If I would say, as you know, law regulator can be very powerful in support operator. To be exact, of course, realtor. So they do very wonderful role in either good time or bad time. So now let's talk a little bit more in particular to our Cambodian side. So these days, of course, during COVID-19, a lot of people are facing major challenge. So Now, let me go to our Cambodian friend at first, Mr. Pivot. Would you brief us some of the key criteria so that each company can actually obtain their valuation license? So do we really have a company who apply the license? Do they have it, or what are the criteria so that the organization actually is revert them such a license, please, sir?
Yes, once again, thank you, Professor Baray. In order to obtain a valuation license, the company shall apply to real estate business and pawn shop regulator by fulfilling the following conditions, such as they have to have the business register under the law of a commercial law and regulation and registration of the Kingdom of Cambodia.
Yeah.
And another point, the company have to have at least 2 certificate holders or professional valuers. And they have to have a representative to be elected on license, which must be a member of board of director of the company. And the company have to buy a professional identity insurance, which issued by the local insurance company. And the licensee has to obtain a bachelor degree or equivalent certificate or reference letter on at least 6 months in working experience. Another point is the certificate of criminal record. And we have also many points, but I just mentioned the important point. Yes, thank you.
Very good. So I think not just only right here in Cambodia, you see, either in Indonesia, Singapore, or even Thailand, this type of business is very interesting for a lot of people. So back to Cambodian context, do we still have a lot of Cambodian business owner apply during this COVID-19, please, Mr. Piwat?
Yes, thank you for your question, Mr. Baray. In the year 2020, you know, the number of the applicant who apply for a license, they were 57 companies, but for the year 2021, it dropped to until now only around 20 companies. Yes.
Very good. Still interesting number. So just to facilitate the time now, let me move to our good friend Citra from Indonesia a little bit. So I'm sure now let's start from a very general one. Citra, do you think that such kind of real estate company investment is truly popular in Indonesia, please? Citra?
Yes, Professor Chrek. Sorry, can you repeat the question?
I mean, let's start from a general question. Is it a lot of business owner, a lot of business people, they are interested in doing business in real estate investment, right? Right there in Indonesia.
Yes, actually the real estate market in Indonesia is still growing. Yeah, although before the pandemic, the trends looks slow down. Yeah, as we know that there is a property bubbling. Yeah, at previous year from 2010 until about 2015, there is a very high increase for the demand of the property of the real estate, actually for especially for a residential. Yeah, and on the nearly previous year, there are a slowdown for the demand of the real estate market. But it's still, yeah, but it's still the market is still growing, but it's, I mean, because we go from the very high baseline, yeah, from 2010 and 2015, there are very high increasing for the price because the high demand. So after 2015, it looks decline.
I see. So if we are looking at Indonesia alone, of course, you play a very big part in terms of population. 300 million population is actually no joke. 50% plus all over the whole Asian country, of course. So now why don't you tell me in terms of this big population, what are really key challenges during the execution of the law? Of course, the government want to have the realtor, but what are your key challenge? And this key challenge, let us know some of your overcoming techniques so that not only Indonesia, not only Asian, but the world would learn from Indonesia. Why not? Please, Citra, continue.
If the challenge is, do you mean for the regulation, for the failure?
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. So as it happened in a lot of countries, so the pandemic affect all aspects in our life. So yeah, implementation for the policies such as work from home really affected the business activity. It's also happened in Indonesia. And for us as a supervisor for financial profession, we are a national regulator for profession in accountancy, actuaries, and valuer, and we conduct registering, licensing, supervision, and also formulate the regulation for the profession. This social distancing policy and also travel restriction for us forced us to adjust the business process by convert them from partially digital into fully digital. So this condition became the first challenge for us to implement the regulation during the pandemic. And fortunately, the Ministry of Finance had initiated a digital transformation for business process before the COVID-19 pandemic. So it supports us to accelerate the transition. And in the other hand, the COVID-19 pandemic also affect the valuation industry, right? And as mentioned before by Mr. Mutakin, and not only the operation issues such as limitation to operate and limitation to do inspection, the economic downturn caused by COVID-19 pandemic fairly affect demand for valuation. And currently the valuation industry in Indonesia has high dependence on banking sector related valuation projects. So as presented by Mr. Harizul earlier, the 83% valuation project related to the bank assignment. So since the pandemic had already affected nearly every business, it led to decrease in the demand for collateral valuation. And based on the data and surveys, in 2020, the national valuation volume declined 26% from the previous year, and it dropped significantly on the first 3 months of the pandemic. And moreover, the aggregate appraisal firms' income dropped by 16% year on year, and 30% failure firms reduced their workforce. So since this condition raises sustainability issues for several failure firms, especially at the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic, so it became our concern to implement the regulation related to failure.
Very nice. It's such a wonderful and insight sharing, Citra, again from Indonesia. 300 plus million population is actually no joke. Now let me jump a little bit to a good friend in Singapore, of course. And not only in Asian, the world majorly regard Singapore as zero corruption. Correct me if I am wrong, Wang Li, so a good friend. So actually, do Singaporean government actually tolerate some of a regulator? For example, they're already in a hard water. They are already in a hard time. actually, does really Singaporean government or regulator tolerate or have some part of the new joiner in actually want to get their license? Please, Lee. This is a wonderful question, I'm sure.
Thank you, Professor. Basically, for Singapore regulators, before they even can get the regulators to get the license, they actually pass through SISB. So for that matter, the member or those who aspire to become a licensed valuer, they need to be a probation member SISB, and then they have to clock 2 years of the experience. Then after that, the committee in SISB will assess whether they're eligible or they have meet the standards to become a valuer, to become a member of SISB under the division of the institute. So once the members that assess, the committee that assess, the panel assess the member who applies for the membership to upgrade from probationer to member, after we assess it, then we will say yes, the person can be upgraded to be a member, and then after that they can apply to IRAS for the license. So that means they cannot straight away get the license to via IRAS, which is the Inland Revenue Authority of Singapore, which is the regulator that issues the license. So in this case, SISB is the one to assess first before they can even go to the next step, become a licensed valuer.
Okay, so very good. Of course, Singapore is still Singapore. You are right there. So why not, Lee, share with us some of the key challenges? Of course, the world, not only Singapore, Cambodian, Asian, are actually facing a critical part, but I'm sure you might share some of the key factors that Singapore have managed. Of course, your Prime Minister is an amazing man. He managed to deal with a lot of things. So in particular on real estate or regular side, from the government, from the operator, what are the major part and how can you guys actually overcome it up until now, please, Lee? There you go.
Thank you. I mean, for Singapore is that we have to self-regulate in a sense is that for that matter, SIC becomes the one to regulate. So we have to work in a soft approach also to look at it. Is that we have to work with the various authorities to the guidelines we set on this thing to regulate the members on that. And we talk about this. Like last year, we actually worked with the stock exchange to come up with the standards in terms of the reporting, the requirements for the reports to go up if, let's say, the company needs a report for listing purposes. So we work with the authorities, like we work with the another authority that we may have known is this HDB, Housing Development Board. For them to want to admit valuers into the panel, they have to be a member as ISV. They have to be members of a firm and for that matter. So that is where we work with the governments, the authorities to regulate the profession on that. So we have to go through the soft approach, you can say that, not just by the act itself, to regulate the profession.
I see.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Lee. So now let me jump next question to a very good neighboring friend from Thailand, Mr. Kitty. Of course, we all know Thailand is part of the world tourist destination. For more, for less, you guys actually been affected. So how is the country recovery so far, sir? Instead of the country economic tourism, of course, does it really affect much on the real estate side, both the government and the operator, please, Mr. Kitty?
Yes, with much difficulty, because the tourism, as you know, is a major part of the country's income in the past.
That's right.
Now it's all disappear. So the industry that's involved with tourism, even if we open up a little bit on places Phuket, as you know. It needs a lot of government assistance to stay alive. So actually, the government is trying very hard to help those enterprise owners to stay or to keep their business as much as possible by relax all regulation. For example, relax the taxations, give out a lot of the subsidies to help with the workers so that these enterprise do not have to let their employee go. In real estate business, the government has been have a lot of help for them as well. First, they relax and lower a lot of fee and tax on legislation to the real estate business. That is very, very, very important. And apart from that, the government rely heavily on the banking system to keep their customer loans as easy as possible. For example, the Bank of Thailand reclassify a lot of bad debt classification so that the bank doesn't have to call their customer bad loan or NPL.
Okay.
Otherwise, the bank will have to call in their customer. By many relaxation on bad debt classification, the bank industry do not have to put up reserve or write off their debt or have to take their customer to court or ask them to repay loan when they are late. That is how we try to help the business to stay alive. Of course, there are other side of the picture. There are many investors are looking for cheap property.
That's
that
right.
Is, as you know, in a crisis, there's always problem and opportunities. And that actually the government try to relax the regulations so that the seller do not have to sell at the lower price.
That's right.
At the moment, even if the situation on COVID-19 is still not very good in Thailand, it's still better than a few months ago.
Wonderful.
So the government stopped the lockdown on the business now. Only a few businesses were tightly controlled, like alcohol business, bar business. Other business are now relaxed. So actually, we hope that in the next few months, things will be better. And we don't have the fourth wave, third wave in other countries. Even in the valuation business, you know, in Thailand, I don't know whether you know that we still do not have a legal system for licensing.
Oh, okay.
The valuer licensed by the AVA Valuer Association of Thailand. Or we have another organization that gives special license, that is the Stock Exchange Commission.
Nice.
For those people who do the valuation for the real estate related company in the stock exchange.
I see.
And that's why the regulation on the valuer in Thailand are still quite easy, except those who aspire to do valuation for the company listed in the stock exchange. We hope that if the situation relax further, then everybody will be able to open up business, and then everything will be better in the future. We have to wait and see because the lockdown is only happen on the 15th of November.
I see. So you know, Sir Kitty, my only wish from myself, Cambodia to Thailand and Asian as a whole. It's a wonderful insight sharing, please, sir. So my friend, as a moderator, my job is to facilitate the conversation more effectively, and I need to make sure we manage the time effectively. We already been talking great about what's happening during COVID-19. It's already there. Who know what's happened tomorrow? I keep asking myself as always, what's new, what's next? So we already faced such a challenge. So I'm gonna give you guys each about 2 minutes at max to share. Now we already face such kind of problem. So what's next? Learning from these problems, learning from this challenge, what your government is going to do in order to minimize or protect the future risk. Now let us start from our good friend Cambodia side, Mr. Piwat. There you go. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Baray's point. Sorry, there was a call.
Let's keep it 2 minutes at most, please, sir. Thank you.
Yes, okay. Thank you once again, Mr. Baray. You know, Cambodia under the wise leadership of Samdech Mahasanatri Chon, the Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Cambodia, we have already introduced 10 rounds of highly effective intervention measures aiming at stabilizing businesses and livelihoods of the people, especially workers, employees, poor families, and those who are more vulnerable to the effect of COVID-19. And relating to the fight against COVID-19, the royal government of Cambodia has chosen vaccination against COVID-19 as a key measure, in addition to the other important measures to control the spread of the pandemic and protect public health and save lives. You know, as of today, 88% of the population of the 16 million people who are above the age of 5 years old are fully vaccinated. And currently, Cambodia has allowed the return of all normal social economic activities, including tourism industry. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so wonderful. Thank you very much. We do hope that this kind of strategy is going to mitigate or protect our Cambodian risk. Now let's go to our Indonesian friend again, Sitra. Please, you have 2 minutes to share with us what are your government and you as a regulator yourself is going to protect future risk if something is happening like this again in the future.
Yes, regarding to our task as a financial profession supervisor, we found that during the pandemic, technology has essential role to support the business process. Fortunately, since 2017, Ministry of Finance has been initiating the digital transformation. So the regulation itself already prepared to deliver the advanced services for Indonesian failure. And related to the profession development, before the pandemic, Indonesian Society of Appraisers has been developing information system to digitalize failure and also association business process in order to improve the valuation quality and to improve the service delivery. So this information system can be used by the member, and the failure firms has an option to use the digital platform developed by association or use their own platform. And this information system design integrated with our information system on purpose to provide national property database. And It was undoubtedly that COVID-19 pandemic has led us into a challenging situation, but in the other hand, the massive utilization of technology during the pandemic has improved the digital literacy, and this condition in line with our digitalization agenda, and the pandemic became the catalyst of the process in implementing the agenda. So unfortunately, we have no strong regulation to support valuation industry. In order to provide such legal basis, the government and the association are collaborating in the initiation of Indonesian failure bill. Thank you, Professor.
Thank you very much, Citra. I do believe that your strategy and sharing would not only benefit Indonesia, but Asian nation as the world toward the globe. I still love Singapore. Lee, am I able to fly to Singapore tomorrow, please? Will you accept it?
Oh, the travel line is open. We are most welcome to Singapore anytime.
See, make some time to go there. So how Singapore is going to manage or minimize such a future risk if it's up and down like this, Lee? There you go. 2 minutes.
Yeah, thank you. But first of all, the nation has to keep healthy, stay healthy. First of all, I mean that's what health in a sense. I mean, a healthy lifestyle helps to make sure that the population is as well. And then the next thing the government is, I mean, you are aware the government encouraged vaccination, even the boosters for the population, so that be protected from the COVID-19. The future trend we also see is that more and more we work from home, and cut off the norm. It's become a new norm that we see it, and with that method means that the digitalization roadmap will be going to be expedited even faster. In Singapore, government has started on this real estate digitalization roadmap. On that, the real estate transactions on this thing, where our institute is involved in it as one of the key members in this committee. And then look at the transactions going all the way for the matter from start to the end of it. So the government is very strong in this area. Try and look at this one. So we see that digitalization going using the network, IT network to do all these things will be in the future on that part of it. And the last point I'd like to make is that Singapore also can look into the green sustainability. That means looking at supply chain of certain materials of this for buildings and all this thing, so that we do not depend a lot of things really that could deplete the earth on that part. So the green measures, the sustainability, the ESG is a big thing in Singapore on that. So at the moment, Singapore face the crunch of labor crunch in a sense. So that's why you find that construction cost has gone up of that. So Singapore is looking into how to make sure that you use technology to do some of the work, so that you don't depend a lot of labor for this matter. So that is, I see how the future for Singapore will be like. Thank you.
Wonderful sharing, Lee. Of course, our first rule is stay healthy. Everybody healthy, we can actually do more. Wonderful, Lee. Appreciate that. So to our very last speaker, my respect to you, Mr. Kitty. How is Thailand is going to, actually everyone is under recovery process. It may take some time. So in the future, how Thailand is going to mitigate such a risk, please? Sir, there you go.
Thank you, Professor. One thing we learned in Thailand, to be able to control this risk is monitoring. As to be able to have a good information on the spread of the disease and what happened in all the community. We have a very good success with what we call community volunteers for monitoring.
I see.
In every commodities, we ask each community to mobilize volunteer to monitor what happened in their communities. it has both benefit. First, in the pandemic, most of the problem in our country come from traveling, and people when they lose the job, they move back to their city or town or villages elsewhere, and this cause a lot of spread in the disease. In these communities, you will have, I think, a large number of volunteers to monitor people who come in from outside or who are going to other communities. And this information are very, very important for the authority to deal with the disease and the problem quickly. And these volunteers in Thailand are very enthusiastic. And I think we are quite successful with these tool in controlling the risk and the spread of the disease. Now we are pretty sure that all the measures to control the spread of the disease in Thailand are well on the way. People now are much more confident. We will not have any big spread explosion like before.
Very good. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. So, of course, again, my friend, we are actually under the 23rd AVA Congress, a second panelist discussion on what I call a challenge on the application of the regulation during COVID-19. We have a wonderful discussion from a dear friend, Cambodia, Indonesia, Thailand, and Singapore. We do believe that this insight sharing would benefit more to our participants. And I hope if you guys have more questions, feel free to contact our guest speaker. And actually, before I even end our discussion, why don't you give us a smile? Then, my dear people, please give us one click picture. Come on. Thank you very much. So it's my sincere honor. I hope to visit you guys out there in Indonesia, Singapore, and Thailand, please. Thank you very much.
Welcome. Okay.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Borei, for being such a wonderful moderator. You have been very helpful. And thanks to all the panelists. I really, really enjoyed the discussion earlier and hope we can talk more, discuss more next time physically.
បាទសូមថ្លែងអំណរគុណទៅដល់លោកសាស្ត្រាចារ្យលុនបូរីនិង moderator ទាំងអស់រួមទាំងជាវាគ្មិនទាំងអស់ដែលបានចូលរួមក្នុងការពិភាក្សាពីវគ្គកន្លងទៅនេះបាទហើយយើងជឿជាក់ថាការពិភាក្សារបស់យើងគឺមានផ្លែផ្កាល្អច្រើនមែនទែនសម្រាប់ព័ត៌មានស្ដីពីអចលនទ្រព្យនៅក្នុងបណ្ដាប្រទេសជាសមាជិករបស់យើងបាទ
Next, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of our President here in Cambodia, we would like to take this opportunity to present each of our panelists a certificate of appreciation. So let's go back to our speakers during the very first panel discussion, Mr. Wong Sokal. Mr. Wong Sokal, hopefully you are still here with us. And thank you once again on behalf of our President, Mr. Soknim. And congratulations.
បាទសូមអបអរសាទរទៅកាន់លោកវងសុខាដែលជា Chairman របស់វិទ្យាសាស្ត្រប្រកបដែលបានចូលរួមនៅក្នុងការផ្ដល់ជាវាគ្មិននៅក្នុងកម្មវិធីរបស់យើងបាទ
Thank you. And next panelist from Indonesia, Mr. Muhammad Mutakin. We would also like to present to you a certificate of appreciation on behalf of our President.
សូមអបអរសាទរលោក Muhammad Mutakin មកពីសមាគមរបស់សាធារណរដ្ឋឥណ្ឌូនេស៊ី
And next to our speaker from Malaysia, Mr. Lim Lien Hong. We We truly appreciate your time earlier.
សូមអបអរសាទរលោកលីមលៀងហុងដែលជា Executive Director របស់ Korean and On International របស់ Malaysia.
Let us also recognize our panelists from Singapore, Mr. Milton Tan. Congratulations.
អបអរសាទរលោក Milton Tan ជាស្ថាបនិកក៏ដូចជានាយកគ្រប់គ្រងរបស់ Twin Pillar.
And of course, ladies and gentlemen, our wonderful moderator, Mr. Mesa.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And
Thank you.
for being such a kind co-host with me today.
Exactly.
Thank you so much. And we would also like next to recognize our panelists from Cambodia, Mr. Seng Piwat. Congratulations.
អបអរសាទរលោកសេងពិវត្តដែលតំណាងនៅក្រសួងសេដ្ឋកិច្ចនិងហិរញ្ញវត្ថុនៃព្រះរាជាណាចក្រកម្ពុជា
Thank you, sir. And next, our speaker from Indonesia, Miss Citra Wulan Ratri.
សូមអបអរសាទរលោកស្រី Citra Wulan Ratri មកឥណ្ឌូនេស៊ី
Thank you. And our next speaker from Thailand, Kitty Patpong Pibun.
អបអរសាទរលោក Kitty Patpong Pibun.
We would also like to recognize and to present certificate of appreciation to our speaker from Singapore, Miss Wang Heng Lee.
សូមអបអរសាទរលោកស្រី Wang Heng Lee មកពីសិង្ហបុរី
Last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, to our wonderful moderator, Mr. Bore. Thank you.
លោកស្រីនិងកញ្ញាសូមអបអរសាទរលោក Lun Bore ដែលជា moderator សម្រាប់ panelist ទី2បាទ
Thank you, everyone. It's been such a beautiful day today since early in the morning during the morning session, and now we are here online and live from Cambodia. And I thank you so much for everyone who's still being here with us. Thank you for your patience, your understanding, and one thing that I really like from one of our speakers, stay healthy.
Yes.
So just stay healthy.
Suggest stay healthy.
So I would like next to continue our afternoon session. We still have some quite numbers of our speakers. Our next speaker, he's actually a very special man. He's a gentleman. He's very famous. He's very popular in terms of real estate and education industry. And he is loved by so many Cambodian people, especially the young generation, Cambodian students. So ladies and gentlemen, our next speaker is Mr. Kim Sok-heng. Mr. Kim Sok-heng is the founder of LC Business School, and he's also an advisor to President of CVEA. សូមជម្រាបសួរលោកគ្រូ Kim Sok-heng.
បាទសូមគោរពស្វាគមន៍សាជាថ្មីម្ដងទៀតអាដាមលោកជំទាវលោកស្រីនិងនាងកញ្ញាជាបន្តទៀតសូមស្វាគមន៍សន្ទរកថាចែករំលែកពីវាគ្មិនដ៏មានវោហារសាស្ត្រនៅកម្ពុជាគឺលោក Kim Sok-heng ស្ថាបនិកនៃវិទ្យាស្ថាន LC Business School និងជាទីប្រឹក្សាផ្ទាល់នៃប្រធានសមាគម CVA ក្រោមប្រធានបទការជំរុញលើកទឹកចិត្តសម្រាប់អ្នកវិជ្ជាជីវៈសូមអញ្ជើញ
បាទសូមគោរពជំរាបសួរគណៈធិបតីភ្ញៀវកិត្តិយសសិក្ខាកាមទាំងអស់ដែលចូលរួមនៅក្នុងកម្មវិធីដ៏ពិសេសនៅពេលរសៀលនេះ Thank you very much our wonderful and beautiful MCs and handsome MC as well. Please congratulate for them. Great afternoon, our delegates from each country of Asian countries and also delegates from the US, delegate from Europe, delegate from China, and delegate from South Korea maybe. Today, it is my great honor to be invited as one of the guest speakers. I grew my career as a speakers, motivational speakers, trainers, coach, and I turned myself to business owners and investors. And I am also a CIPS, a Certified International Property Realtor. So I have a very small experience to share today. And also my respect to the president, Mr. Soknim, the president of AVA and also CVA Cambodia, and all the management teams. And also my respect to all the participants today. You give us a great honors. So to have very short of times, what I can say that we are living in a world where it has a fast change. So COVID-19, with the presence of COVID-19, we are living in a fast change. So COVID-19 change, so we have to be creative, right? But having heard a discussion for two discussions these afternoons, I hope we all can learn a lot, and especially for the last session, our great moderator, Mr. Lunburai, you are the great moderators. And so we all importance in the real estate industries. And I hope that in each countries, there are opportunities and there are challenges. So we are living in the same situation in this world. Even the spread of COVID-19, we face the same problems, the same challenges. However, with the great mind, the creative, the passion, the dreams and commitments from each of individuals members of each countries, of each organization, of each association, we are the hope, we are the futures, we are important to serve our community, to serve our nation, to serve our world. So with the presence of valuators like CVEA in Cambodia has been contributed a lot to the economic, to the sustainability of real estate industry, and also serve the banking industries. Let me raise a very good example. During this COVID-19, I'm sure, whether in Singapore, in Malaysia, in Philippines, or in Thailand, or in US or in China, so we found the opportunities. Like the word we said, in every crisis, there are a lot of opportunities. So like in Cambodia, like our Deputy Prime Minister announced that even the situation of COVID-19 in Cambodia still has a lot of potential, great potential to invest in properties. I myself, from investor perspective, I thank the CVEA and all the members of CVEA still active to evaluate and to monitor, to give advice, to do some promotion, to do some consultation for the property owners. Like in the market, one, we have property owner. One side, we have property owners. Another side, we have potential buyer. So these two parties need the third party evaluator. So CVEA, like other countries, CVEA Cambodia has been contributed a lot of positive changes to the property owners and also have the potential buyers with the proper valuation, and also have the banking industry. As you know, some of the potential buyers, they found the potential lands to invest, property to invest. Somehow, they don't need to use their own money. So they associate with the banks. So the role of the banks is to give loan to customers. However, the banks need collaterals, need the properties to secure. So the property to be secure in the banks need evaluators, trusted evaluators. So a member of CVEA in Cambodia play different roles, but to support the real estate industries. Like my sales alone, as an example, I bring my small case. I have a lot of my customer as well. Even I am still part of the motivational speakers. So I speak to inspire Cambodian property owners to live in hope. Even the transaction was not as much as before COVID-19, but the price, the property still has the potentials. So we just to exchange. So that's why I facilitate, and the teams, the companies play an active role on this. One side, we have the property owners, and one side we have the potential buyers, and another side we have the banks. So we bring all these parties together. So the bank also make profits. Potential buyer can buy a good properties, and property owner can sell the properties. So that, from my perspective, in Cambodia and during this COVID, I travel to the world. However, I noticed the same thing. We are the professionals. We are from the realtors. We are a property expert. The companies working on the properties, some we buy and we sell properties and we rent the properties. So potential need from the creative as well to make the great potential into profit. We need creative. So part of my sharing, it starts from the solution to support the property owner, to help them to sell their property, to sell their land, to sell their house, and engage them with a good and trusted valuators. So they can have a good, reasonable and potential price to sell the properties. And I know CVAs in Cambodia also play another active roles to engage with a lot of potential buyers, because potential buyers, investors, they have the money. They are looking for a good properties. Sometimes they don't know, but with the member of CVA, as an examples in Cambodia, they have a wide network of property owners, and they bring those parties together, and they also have a good connection with the banks. So the role of the bank, as I stated earlier, the bank can generate profits by offering loan to good customers. So these three parties, and also now in Cambodia, even during COVID-19, the developers still active. The developer from each of the regions in Cambodia still active. Like project in Kampot, still active. The project in the Mondulkiri in another part of the Cambodia is still active. In Senovils, even the transaction was not much as the same before the COVID-19. But the creativity from the developers, they work so well with the agents. In Cambodia, we have a lot of international brands and local brand and a lot of qualified agents. So we still create the ecosystem which support each other to enable the transaction still happens. So from my view, what I can share to our friends in the Congress. So I hope that very soon that we are able to fly to our neighbors, our friends' countries, so we can sit and we can exchange. A good example from some of our friends, they came to Cambodia and they visit the projects. They learn by visiting the projects, the companies and the fields, and also the ecosystem. So they found the creativity in it. So that is what I appreciate and thanks the president of CVA Cambodia and also AVA's Congress today to make this Congress, and also at the same time in Cambodia we announced to open the country, so a lot of project is coming, and I hope our international friends who are willing to make profit, to generate profit by contribute to the communities, to the industry, real estate industry in Cambodia. We still have a lot of potentials, location to invest that we can enjoy the profit. And we, like myself in Cambodia, I'm ready to serve all of you. I'm ready to support from our expertise, our networks, our experience, and our peoples. We have a trusted teams. We have also a technology to support, and also the opportunity, more and more opportunity emerge. At the same time, I'm looking forward to visit other countries, especially in Asian country, in Asia, and very soon we'll go to Europe, to the US, to the Chinas. So we will have a lot more opportunity that we can do together in our community in Asian countries. So what I can contribute and my commitment is to leave a great legacy from what we think, what we say, and what we do. That's what we can do. So like today's Congress, it was a great event for all of us, for the participants, and also for myself to be invited to share very in small, in short time, but I hope it will give some ideas for our participants. The time is not much, so thanks again the presidents and all the delegates and all the participants for your times and for the MC to facilitate this event. Thank you very much, and I hope to see you all face to face. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kim Sok-heng, for your remarks. But to be honest, I always find your words very inspiring and full of hopes. And I think other participants here find whatever you have just mentioned, you just said about the situation in real estate industry in Cambodia, even during the pandemic, but you try to give us a lot of kind words and to make us feel very hopeful. Whether you are a seller, you are a buyer, or you are an investor, we should be happy by now, things will get better, and hopefully we all will meet each other face to face sometime very soon. Thank you once again, Mr. Kim Sok-heng.
Thank you.
សូមថ្លែងអំណរគុណលោក Kim Sok-heng ដែលជាស្ថាបនិកនៃវិទ្យាស្ថាន LC Business School ដែលបានចែករំលែកនៅសន្ទរកថាមួយក្នុងការជំរុញទឹកចិត្តសម្រាប់អ្នកវិជ្ជាជីវៈបើទោះបីជាកម្ពុជាតំបន់ទាំងមូលអាស៊ានស្ថិតនៅក្នុងបរិយាកាស COVID-19 ក៏ដោយបាទសូមអរគុណច្រើនលោក Kim Sok-heng បាទអរគុណលោកមិសា
Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to know that we appreciate his time and we want to tell him how important he is, and we would love to have Mr. Kim Sok-heng back to our Congress again and again, year by year. So our technical team and on behalf of our President, Soknim, we have arranged a certificate of appreciation to present right now to Mr. Kim Sok-heng. We cannot wait for that. So Mr. Kim Sok-heng, congratulations. And thank you so much for
thank you. My great honor to be here. Thank you.
សូមជួយរួមជាមួយខ្ញុំនៅក្នុងការប្រគល់ជូននៅលិខិតថ្លែងអំណរគុណដល់លោក Kim Sok-heng ដែលជាវាគ្មិនដ៏មានវោហារសាស្ត្រនៅកម្ពុជាសូមអបអរសាទរ
អរគុណលោកមេសា
Mr. Kim Sok-heng, all the best and stay healthy. Excellencies, ladies and
Thank you.
gentlemen, next we would like now to introduce to you to our two speakers at the same time, because two of them will be presenting on the topic of valuation industry in the time of pandemic COVID-19. And we will hear about one of the case studies, which is Bali, Indonesia. So please allow me to introduce to you Ms. Molita Nanggolan and Mr. Pervira Yodanto, analyst on Center of Financial Profession Supervisory from the Ministry of Finance of the Republic of India. Good afternoon.
ជាបន្តទៀតសូមស្វាគមន៍បទបង្ហាញស្ដីពីការវិយតម្លៃអចលនវត្ថុនៅក្នុងបរិបទ COVID-19 ករណីសិក្សានៅកោះបាលីប្រទេសឥណ្ឌូនេស៊ីដែលថ្លែងដោយលោកស្រី Molita Nanggolan និងលោក Pervira Yodanto ដែលតំណាងដោយក្រសួងសេដ្ឋកិច្ចនៃសាធារណរដ្ឋឥណ្ឌូនេស៊ី
Okay, thank you, MC. Okay, let me share you our presentation. Just hang on a second. Okay, is it appear? Okay. Okay, all right. Okay. The Honorable President of AVA, Mr. Chrek, the Honorable Chief Delegates of ASEAN member countries, all distinguished panelists and participants, Assalamualaikum. May peace be upon you and very good afternoon. Okay, first of all, we would like to convey our appreciation to the committee and Cambodia for hosting and organizing such a great online event, the 23rd AVA Congress meeting. And on this wonderful moment, it is a privilege for me, Pervira, and the team from the Ministry of Finance, Indonesia, my dear colleagues Molita, Firman, and Danar, to present our humble study called Valuation Industry in Time of COVID-19 Pandemic, case study of Bali, Indonesia. Okay, this study tries to empirically observe the effect of the pandemic on the valuation industry, particularly that has taken place in Bali, Indonesia. Okay. Bali is one of the most prominent tourist destinations in the world. We all know that. For decades, every single year, millions of visitors around the globe have flooded and enjoyed Bali with their beloved ones. Unfortunately, it is shameful that last year in 2020, when the outbreak finally swarmed to Indonesia, the island had to close their international arrivals. It then drove Bali on downward spiral and of course, quickly shattered its economy. We initially presumed that Keynesian supply and demand theory and the purchasing power parity took part in this dramatic episode. Okay, what we've got here, okay. The pictures on this slide show the differences between the two situations. Pre-pandemic and when pandemic forced Bali to shut down. On the left one, you can see we noticed tourists walking around on one of the tourist attractions in Bali. Meanwhile, in the upper right, at the same spot, there's no people there. Okay. Luckily, wildlife expressed their compassion. Here we've got a group of primates supporting the locals to keep the vicinities look alive, of course, because of the absence of the tourists. Next slide. We'll show you the national perspective as every country did. Indonesia also suffered a series of unfortunate events back to back caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. The economic downturn was inevitable, where the contraction hit negative 5.3% in Q2 last year. In 2020, when we look at each sector, it came across that the transportation and storage industry recorded a significant decrease by a negative 22% compared to 2019, meaning restrictions on logistics and people mobility carried a significant impact. Related to such facts, and especially in terms of tourism, a 10% decrease is shown by the accommodation and food service activity sector. Okay. And then why we select Bali? If Mr. Harizul, the panelist from the morning session, presented the big picture of the country report of Indonesia. Well, our study is focused on the most affected territory in terms of economy and valuation business. When we scrutinize to this province, numerous unpleasant facts are perfectly depicted by its economic growth and some sectors. The forthcoming slides will explain. Okay. The extreme and sudden change caused by COVID-19 made Bali the perfect example of mini economic crisis that influenced local valuation business. The economy of Bali was dragged down to a negative 11%, and it was the lowest nationwide in last year, okay, in 2020. Transportation suffered a 36% decrease, as well as accommodation that dropped by 30%. So both are the top two. This situation was the worst nightmare ever that Bali had experienced. Even when bombing happened twice in 2002 and 2005, the incidents did not significantly impact their economy. The following year, there was some decline, but foreigners and local tourists were still landing in Bali. Okay. Here, reflecting on both situations, we identify at least 3 major factors that make the COVID-19 pandemic the most severe threat Bali has to deal with. First, the restriction policy on mobility. So the border of Bali has been closed for international arrival for more than 15 months. Regarding Bali's red status, the authorities even strictly monitor domestic trips in and out Bali. Domestic travelers are allowed to fly there, but they need to prove that they are eligible and safe. So tight that the policies were made people stay at home. Okay. Secondly, we already know that tourism and hospitality industry is the backbone as well as the essential sector for Bali. So when the pandemic has spread and reached Bali, people have no choice other than to avoid this place. It is shown by the graphic. International tourism was reduced by a negative 83%, while for domestic, negative 56%. No traveling and no tourists, and of course, means no income for Bali. Moreover, it happens so massively that it devastated their core industry. The third agent is the geographical factor. So Bali is surrounded by sea, meaning it is easier to reach there by plane. As mentioned earlier, some complicated flight procedures during the pandemic have made people postpone their travel to Bali. And on the other hand, it is also challenging to drive there. A different situation happened to other local attractions outside Bali, suppose like in Java Island, where people on business trips or domestic tourists can stop by or stay overnight at some tourist spots along their way. And automatically it will rescue hotel occupancy in such areas, while it was even difficult to have one single-digit occupancy in Bali. Okay, for further explanation, I would like to invite my dear colleague Molida. The time is yours.
Okay, thank you, Ira. Hello and good afternoon, all participants. Okay, to observe the impact of the pandemic on the valuation industry, our team collect data by seeing annual reports of Bali's appraisal firms, performing survey, holding focus group discussions with Bali's valuers, and also impromptu interviews with selected partners. As predicted overall, the trend is downward either for valuation volume or total income. We can see it. The slope shows a negative 37% for client engagements, which caused income shortage by 24% in 2020. We can see here also that the status gap was created between April and May. It was precisely when the authorities imposed a national lockdown policy. And then the volume bounced in June and has demonstrated a positive trend until October, but then went down again during the end of 2020. Okay, next slide. Furthermore, Service classification in Bali is dominated by residential property valuation and property valuation, where their intentions are mostly for mortgage or debt covenant and auction. All graphics pointed out the dwindling volume in 2020. More importantly, it also reflects an affirmation that the majority of Bali's valuer clients are from the banking industry. Here we can imagine how vulnerable the valuation industry is in Bali. Concerning the banking industry, whenever people face hard times that lower significantly their purchasing power, it will instantly deteriorate the valuers' engagements. Banks will conservatively hold back credit proposals or mortgage and possibly exert the option of performing auctions. Nevertheless, auction during an economic crisis is also undesirable due to low purchasing power, or the potential buyers will try to hit at the lowest price. It is also another empirical evidence since the 1998 and 2008 crisis to demonstrate how thin the resilience of the Indonesian banking industry to cope with the economic crisis. Hence, the local valuers are supposed to be searching or developing other potential clients. Okay, as a matter of fact, all Bali appraisal firms have exerted their best efforts to survive. According to our survey in 2020, they rationalized their employees to compress operational expenditure. Almost 60% of them laid down less than 10% of their workers, and the rest are between 10 to 25%. However, an improvement in 2021 is signified by recruitment done by 27% appraisal firms. Talking about engagement in 2020, 1/3 of appraisal firms in Bali lost half of their previous volume, and another 46.7% admits that they suffered 25 to 50% loss. Meanwhile, here in 2021, there is no difference but a moderate decrease in client engagement. To rescue client engagement volume, most of them offers a rebate to their client on the fee they charge. 2/3 of them have given 10 to 15% discount since last year. Next slide. Amid unfavorable conditions, we found 2 appraisal firms demonstrating resiliency and positive trends in 2020. In general, both of them were doing dissimilar business compared to other appraisal firms in Bali. The anomalies here could be recognized from 3 factors. First is networking or affiliation. Networking or affiliation might come first since having international partners or branches outside Bali would benefit them. We can see that during the pandemic, such a business relationship has a higher probability of providing engagements. Moreover, when their affiliation could not enter Indonesia, specifically Bali, it then become opportunity for appraisal firms. The second is the notion of leaving their comfort zone is the best option that valuers in Bali should take. The make proof that they could no longer depend on their regular clients, which is from the banking sector. Diversification on engagement types and object of valuation will significantly help. So far, government projects, companies, or foreigners' businesses are potential areas to work with, regardless of valuation various objectives. Of course, to sell on that blue ocean, they need to hone their entrepreneur skills. Being communicative and providing service excellence is necessary to attract clientele. On the other hand, they also need to be keen to snatch any opportunity without leaving the discipline in applying risk management. Next slide, please. So it is obvious that to become resilient, the valuer needs to scale up their competencies, both hard and soft. Focus on deepening their qualification on valuations will also help. Maybe suppose like mastering international standards or doing specialization. Based on the anomalies, we can learn that failure managed to survive during a challenging situation by having particular features. And applying international valuation standards is beneficial in expanding national valuation market share. Next slide. In the end, we might perceive that COVID-19 pandemic has caused a contraction in the Indonesian economy and Bali particularly. Valuers in Bali suffered a significant decrease in engagement volume and income. Bali's valuation industry has a high dependence on banking sector. Several appraisal firms survived the situation due to particular sources of resilience. And the resilience primarily depends on hard and soft competency. So here we reach at the end of the presentation. I'm Molita. We're looking forward to and genuinely appreciate your further response. Thank you for your kind attention.
Well, thank you, Molita and Pavira, for your presentation. We really appreciate it.
បាទសូមថ្លែងអំណរគុណជាច្រើនទៅដល់កញ្ញា Molita និងលោក Pavira.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, once again, on behalf of our president here in Cambodia, we would like to present a certificate of appreciation to our both speakers, Molita Nanggolan and Pavira Yodanto.
អាដាមលោកជំទាវលោកស្រីនិងកញ្ញាសូមចូលរួមជាមួយយើងខ្ញុំនៅក្នុងការប្រគល់នៅលិខិតថ្លែងអំណរគុណទៅដល់វាគ្មិននៃសាធារណរដ្ឋឥណ្ឌូនេស៊ីគឺកញ្ញា Molita Nanggolan និងលោក Pavira Yodanto.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we are live from Phnom Penh, Cambodia. Thank you everyone for still being here with us online. We would like next to introduce to you our speaker from Thailand, Mr. Nisit Jan Somwong. He will give us a presentation. Well, once again, ladies and gentlemen, I would like now to appreciate all the times of our speakers here who take their time since morning to join the morning session and also to join our afternoon session. We have not ended our Congress yet, and we still have some quite more interesting speakers who will give us some other presentation.
បាទអាដាមជំទាវលោកស្រីនិងកញ្ញាយើងនៅមានកម្មវិធីបន្តជាច្រើនបន្ថែមទៀតសម្រាប់អង្គសមាជលើកទី23របស់យើងជាបន្តទៀតបាទ
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we would also like to take this opportunity to thank to our president in Cambodia and our technical team in Cambodia who have been working so hard to make this happen. And for those who still online, please keep staying online with us. And we would like now to give a little bit of time to our next speaker to arrange the presentation.
បាទអាដាមលោកជំទាវលោកស្រីនិងកញ្ញាយើងកំពុងតែ live ចេញពីព្រះរាជាណាចក្រកម្ពុជាក្នុងរាជធានីភ្នំពេញហើយយើងកំពុងតែនឹងបន្តសកម្មភាពរបស់យើងជាបន្តទៀតនៅក្នុងសមាជលើកទី23នេះផងដែរហើយយើងទុកពេលវេលាបន្ថែមបន្តិចទៀតទៅដល់ក្រុមការងារបច្ចេកទេសសម្រាប់ធ្វើការងារបន្ថែមទៀត
អរលោកស្រីអ្នកនាងកញ្ញាខ្ញុំសូមទុកពេលវេលានេះជូនដល់ពិធីករដែលជាដៃគូរបស់នាងខ្ញុំដើម្បីឲ្យគាត់នៅទីនេះជួបជាមួយនឹងអស់លោកអ្នកនាងដើម្បីបន្តកម្មវិធីដោយនាងខ្ញុំចានឹងទៅពិភាក្សាជាមួយនឹងក្រុមការងាររបស់យើងដើម្បីសម្ដែងថាតើវាគ្មិនរូបណាមួយបន្ទាប់ទៀតដែលនឹងត្រូវឡើងមកធ្វើបង្ហាញជូនដល់អស់លោកអ្នកនាងចាសូមអរគុណ Ladies and gentlemen, I would like now to take a bit of time to discuss with our technical team on whether which of our speaker willing to present the next presentation. So please apologize for that, and I would like to hand over to my co-host. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Ms. Sana. Ladies and gentlemen, now we are moving to the second discussion. In the list, it probably in the digital transformation, but we would like to hear from the AVA technical because as you already know that we are working from online, so there are some mistake. So there would be a great honor if you still stay calm and follow with us.
Thank you, everyone. Welcome back. And well, actually, we would like now to recognize again our speaker earlier, Mr. Pavira Yodanto. I hope you're still here with us. This is what we would like you to know, that whatsoever happened, we really have to recognize again for your time, for such a wonderful presentation. So ladies and gentlemen, please join us in welcoming and congratulate once again Mr. Pavira Yodanto from Indonesia. Thank you.
Adam លោកជំទាវលោកស្រីនៅនាងកញ្ញាសូមចូលរួមជាមួយយើងខ្ញុំនៅក្នុងការប្រគល់នៅលិខិតថ្លែងអំណរគុណទៅដល់វាគ្មិននៃសាធារណរដ្ឋឥណ្ឌូនេស៊ីលោក Pavira Yodanto.
Thank you, Mr. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So our plan is still the same, and we promise you to give some more fruitful information during this Congress. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, our next speaker from Thailand, Mr. Nisit Chansombong, President of the Valuer Association of Thailand. He's going to give us a topic on land digital transformation.
ជាបន្តទៀតសូមស្វាគមន៍បទបង្ហាញស្ដីពីកំណែទម្រង់ដីធ្លីដោយប្រើប្រាស់បច្ចេកវិទ្យាដែលបង្ហាញដោយលោកនិសិតចានសំវងដែលជាប្រធានសមាគមអ្នកវិតម្លៃអចលនវត្ថុនៃព្រះរាជាណាចក្រថៃឡង់
สวัสดีค่ะ
ជំរាបសួរបាទ
Mr. Nisit, could you please turn on your webcam? Could you please unmute so we can hear you?
លោកនិសិតបាទអាចជួយ unmute និងបើក webcam របស់ខ្លួនដើម្បីក្រុមការងារបច្ចេកទេសផ្សព្វផ្សាយបន្តបាន
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, our next speaker, Mr. Nisit from Thailand. Good afternoon from Cambodia. Once again, Mr. Nisit, are you here with us?
បាទលោកនិសិតតើលោកកំពុងតែនៅជាមួយយើងដែរឬទេបាទសូម unmute ហើយនឹងសូមបើកក្បាលមីក្រូរបស់ខ្លួនហើយបើក webcam ដើម្បីផ្ដល់ជាសារសំឡេងនិងរូបភាពទៅដល់អង្គវិធីទាំងមូល
I see Mr. Nisit is here. Hello.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you clearly.
Thank you, and please take your time and give us your presentation.
I would like to inform Mr. President that Kunisit has been urgently called to the Parliament. So I would like to summarize his talk on his behalf on the subject of online technology developments at the Land Office and the Land Department of Thailand. Kunisit is the Director General of the Land Department of Thailand, and he actually wants to talk about online technologies at the department today. So myself would like to summarize what he wants to deliver to the Congress.
Do yourself, please.
Yes. Kunisit, apart from being the Director General of the Departments of Lands of Thailand, he is the President of Valuers Association of Thailand. We wish to send the warmest regards to all distinguished members of AVA. The Department of Land is the government, is a sole agency under the Ministry of Interiors of the government of Thailand. This department is responsible for protecting rights of individual lands holder in the country. We serve 13 million customers each year with 461 offices nationwide. The department faced many challenges throughout this period of COVID-19 outbreak. In serving lands owner and develop lands is service under the government policies. I would like to share our experiences of online service. We have developed a system of land location search for a total of 34 million land parcels throughout the country via internet called land map applications. For this application, the people can search for their land locations, surrounding areas, and the valuation price. I must inform you that valuation price under the lands department is the government valuation system, which is a bit different from the professional private sector land valuations, because it uses a mass valuation system. The purpose of the government land valuation is for taxations, not individual valuations, valuation for private transactions or commercial transactions. In 2021, on average, the departments have customers using this application about 1.3 million times per month. Not only that, certain categories of land legislation needs to have public notification at the land office, district offices, local administration offices, or even village headman offices. Normally, people who are involved in it have to travel to all these government offices for the notifications. The department have developed an application that called e-land announcement applications for the legal requirements, so that the people who are connected with the transaction and announcement can access the announcement without having to travel to all these local or government offices that require under the law. Also, people can ask all lands related questions via another application called Line at Tidin. They can also make appointments for land registration via another application called EQ Land and Bogdin applications. They can contact local land office to investigate their land with a view for the land offices to issue land title deeds under Bogdin applications. We have also developed other internet applications for people's conveniences, such as land encyclopedia for the people. This is will give all the information for the lands involving the government's legal system Another application is called smart land applications. The smart land application, you can search for various online service with another application as well, which is called All About Land in One applications. Another application that the department have developed for the people is the land maps application. Under these applications, the people can obtain price of the land under government valuations, certificates of the land valuation, even paying land taxes. Under the government policy, the e-land service, you can search for all other information for your land parcels. Another useful condominium maps application is a new application by the department as well. And this is only the example of the online application that the land department have developed. We have a few other applications that can be used as well. For example, you can launch various contact with the land department via the internet without difficulties. Under this technology development by the land office, we hope that the land department can give service much more convenient for all the people in Thailand. One of the examples that I would like to inform the Congress is that Thailand legislation system for land transfer, I believe, is one of the best in the world, because people can transfer ownership of their land in one day, complete with the certificate from the land department. All these development, the land department are continuing further development to serve the people under the government policies. The department believes that the information technology is most important for the future, consistent with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, or what we call the SDG. Participants, delegates, and the president. This is my summary for the presidents of the Valuer Association of Thailand. Thank you very much.
Thank you, our speaker from Thailand. ขอบคุณมากนะคะ Thank you, sir, for your time. Really enjoy your presentation.
បាទសូមថ្លែងអំណរគុណវាគ្មិនរបស់យើងពីព្រះរាជាណាចក្រថៃឡង់បាទសូមអរគុណ
Once again, on behalf of our President Chrek Soknim here in Cambodia, we would like to present the certificate of appreciation to Mr. Kitty.
បាទសូមជួយរួមជាមួយនឹងខ្ញុំក្នុងការថ្លែងអំណរគុណទៅដល់លោក Kitty បាទមកពីព្រះរាជាណាចក្រថៃឡង់
Thank you and congratulations. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we would like now to continue our live Congress from Phnom Penh, the Kingdom of Cambodia. We still actually have one last presentation on international valuation standards updates and the importance of standards in a pandemic. So please allow us to introduce to you our next speaker, Mr. Nick Talbot, Chief Executive of the International Valuation Standards Council, and Mr. Alexander Aronson, Director of Technical Standards for Tangible Assets. Good afternoon.
ជាបន្តទៀតសូមស្វាគមន៍បទបង្ហាញស្ដីពីសារៈសំខាន់នៃស្តង់ដារវិតម្លៃអចលនវត្ថុអន្តរជាតិនៅក្នុងបរិបទ COVID-19 ដែលបង្ហាញដោយលោក Nick Cabot និងលោក Alexander Aronson ដែលមកពីវិទ្យាស្ថាន IVSC.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear.
Okay. Can you hear you? Perfect. Thank you very much for the invitation, Mr. President. It's a pleasure to see so many people at this very important conference in the ASEAN region. Alex and I are going to give a brief update in relation to IVSC and the importance of valuation standards in a pandemic. Next slide, please, Alex. So who are IVSC? Essentially, we are the global body that is responsible for developing and setting international valuation standards. We also look very much to work in partnership with different professional bodies around the world, because unless you have good professionalism and good professionals operating in each country who also know the local legislation and who also work well in that environment, then it is very difficult for standards to be a success. So actually it's very important to have that combination that's there. We are independent and not-for-profit, and we cover the three main areas of valuation, so tangible assets, business valuation, and financial instruments. And we work very closely with partners such as IASB that set IFRS, the IAASB from an audit perspective, the World Bank as a sponsor, the UN we work very closely with and sometimes issue joint documentation. And we also work with financial regulators to help build that trust in valuation and help develop the global system in the public interest. Next slide, please, Alex. So we have an overarching board of trustees from around the world, and we have, for example, a couple of former finance ministers, one from Asia, one from the UK. We have a World Bank leader, we have an ex-SEC commissioner, we have a senator, and then we have various boards. And the people that come onto these boards are very much leaders in technical expertise and valuation from around the world. So we essentially want to take the best ideas from wherever they are. So if any of you out there decide at some point that you want to contribute to the global approach, then please do feel free to sign up for things like our e-news and apply for positions. Next slide, please, Alex. We have over 170 members and sponsors, and we know that there are professionals that apply IVS in over 103 countries. Next slide, please. In terms of major highlights for us this year, we had an agenda consultation that we put out, and thank you to those of you who contributed to that, which helped set the priorities for the coming years as to how standards need to evolve to address the issues that you see in your markets. We issued new standards on July the 30th of this year, and Alex will touch briefly on those, and they become applicable from the end of January 2022. We found that during COVID, there have been ever higher levels of engagement through social media, perspectives, papers, and webinars. I'll touch on more of those shortly. We've had additional UN recognition and references to IVS in their manual in the approach to land valuation that came out earlier this year. And very importantly, from our point of view, there is a joint valuation working group that has been established with EOSCO. For those of you that don't know EOSCO, essentially it brings together the top regulatory leaders from around the world, from the securities regulators, so they deal with listed companies, that sort of thing. And it's very important for us that we work with the key regulatory leaders around the world to make sure that together we advance standards and professionalism in the public interest. This is a key milestone, and it was a very important step for IFRS in getting IFRS very much used around the world. We have also set up an IVSC Investors Forum, and this brings together valuation leaders from some of the most important and biggest sovereign wealth funds and pension funds in the world, because we very much believe that it's important to have the perspective of buyers of valuation services when it comes to enhancing the quality of the standards. So very much people that would look to buy services across the world from your valuers. And so it's an important perspective. We have also received a proposal, and we hope that next year we might be able to set up an Asia office for IVSC, which will be an important addition that helps us both enhance the focus on an important region being Asia, as well as incorporate extra staffing that can help with the global agenda we have and help with the global boards that we have. Next slide, please, Alex. One of the things that you might have seen us doing more and more of, and if you haven't, I'd encourage you to sign up for e-news or go to our website, is perspectives papers. And these are not standards, but they're there to provide insights, initiate dialogue and debate on new and major trends that shape valuation. And we offer our perspectives in those areas, but we very much put them there to get greater engagement and feedback on topical issues from organizations such as yourselves. Next slide, please, Alex. So these are some of the papers that we have issued in the last year, and it covers everything from ESG and tangible assets, goodwill, topical issues that are out there that affect valuation. And each of your organizations is very welcome to use these materials and communicate them to your members if it's something that you would find useful. Next slide, please, Alex. And we have also increased the different webinars that we do, where we bring experts together from the different regions around the world, and they discuss topical issues, whether it's in alternative investment or valuation and the impact of ESG, which everyone is talking about, or particularly slightly more technical issues such as operating leases under IFRS and US GAAP, and the valuation considerations for that. And we're happy to address different topics. If you think that there's a topic that's particularly significant for your organization, then we would be happy to look at that. More recently, we had webinars on valuation of unregistered land, which is a key issue in some countries, ESG and the impact on tangible assets, and also a focus on intangibles too, which obviously of increasing importance to the world when you consider the amount of value that different companies derive from that. Next slide, please, Alex. And so I'd encourage you, if you want to use these webinars in your organizations, if you want to translate them, you're very welcome to do that. And before I hand over to Alex, I just want to make a few comments. What began as a health crisis has obviously become an economic crisis, and that brings huge uncertainty in the world. What is clear to me is the need for good valuations has never been greater to help restore certainty and to help economies improve again. So please do keep up the good work that each and every one of you is doing in this regard, because I don't think valuation has ever been more important. And who knows, hopefully next year we'll be able to have this conference in person. I'll now hand over to Alex, who is going to provide a more technical insight. Please, Alex.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much for inviting me to speak at the 23rd AVA Conference. First of all, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the International Valuation Standards latest updates before going into the importance of valuation standards in a pandemic. Now, the International Valuation Standards include common valuation principles and asset standards, and it's divided into two main sections: the general standards, which is IVS 101 to 105. And they deal with everything from your initial valuation instruction all the way to your final report. And there's chapters on scope of work, investigations and compliance, reporting, basis of value, and approaches and methods. Separately to this, there are the asset standards, and the asset standards provide further detail in relation to the general standards. So valuers who are dealing with, for example, real property assets would need to comply with IVS 101 to IVS 105, the general standards, and then IVS 400, real property assets. Now, the international valuation standards are quite concise. They're only about 135 pages long, and all of the IVS are mandatory. And the latest edition of the International Valuation Standards was published on the 31st of July, and it has an effective date of the 31st of January 2022, but early adoption is encouraged. And just giving you a very brief overview of some of the key changes within the International Valuation Standards, all of which have come from an open, transparent, collaborative consultation process, which began in 2020 with the issue of the IVS 230 Inventories Exposure Draft, came through our agenda consultation and our additional technical revisions prior to publication. And just looking at some of the changes here and going through them quickly, there's core principles for all valuation professional organizations contained within the introduction. There's some additional definitions. There's a new section on allocation of value, giving you the overarching principles for allocating value and when allocating value, if the sum of the parts do not equal the whole, you have to explain the difference. There's a revised scope for business and business interests. There is a new chapter on inventories, and there is a revised scope for IVS 400 real property interests, which now includes unregistered or informal land. So when you are valuing unregistered or informal land, you can still value them using the international valuation standards. And you can see here the core principles of valuation standard setting and the core principles of valuation contained within the introduction. I'm not going to go through all of these, but I'm going to note two of them, which are extremely important, particularly in times of pandemic. Ethics. Valuers must follow the ethical principles of integrity, objectivity, impartiality, confidentiality, competence, and professionalism to promote and preserve the public trust. And competency. At the time the valuation is submitted, valuers must have the technical skills and knowledge required to appropriately complete the valuation assignment. And you'll notice that we have a number of new definitions within the latest edition of IVS. Now, many of these definitions, the definitions such as equitable value, fair market value, fair value, investment value, market rent, were already contained within the standard. But in order to make it more user-friendly, we decided to include these definitions, which were already in 105 basis valuation approaches and methods within the glossary. We have added a few other terms that are worth noting. When we refer to valuation, we're actually talking about the process. So the act or process of determining an opinion or conclusion of a value of an asset on a stated basis of value at a specified date in compliance with IVS. When we're talking about value, we're talking about the end result, the opinion resulting from a valuation process that is compliant with IVS. It's an estimate of either the most probable monetary consideration for an interest in an asset or the economic benefits of holding an interest in an asset on a stated basis of value. Now, I'd like to just talk briefly about the importance of valuation standards in a pandemic, because this is something particularly that we've all been dealing with. Under IVS 103 reporting, it requires the valuation report to disclose a number of matters, including any significant uncertainty or limiting conditions that directly affect the valuation. And this is shown by section 10.1, which states it's essential that the valuation report communicates the information necessary for proper understanding of the valuation or valuation review. A report must provide the intended users with a clear understanding of the valuation. And section 10.2 states to provide useful information, the report must set out a clear and accurate description of the scope of the assignment, its purpose and intended use, including any limitations on that use, and disclosure of any assumptions, special assumptions, significant uncertainty, which is something that we've definitely been going through recently, or limiting conditions that directly affect the valuation. I'd also like to point you to a paper that we published towards the beginning of the pandemic on dealing with valuation uncertainty at times of market unrest. Valuation uncertainty can be caused by various factors. These can be broadly divided into the following categories: market disruption, input availability, choice of method or model. These causes of valuation uncertainty are not mutually exclusive. For example, market disruption may affect the most appropriate method or model to use. Interdependence and correlation between the causes of uncertainty are therefore likely to exist, and account should be taken of this during the valuation process. And IVS 105 is very clear about this. It states in section 10.4, however, valuers should consider the use of multiple approaches and methods, and more than one valuation approach or method should be considered and may be used to arrive at an indication of value, particularly when there are insufficient factual or observable inputs for a single method to produce a reliable conclusion. And therefore, we would definitely point out that this is a point in time where you would need to use more than one method within your valuation to get any form of certainty. And I should make clear that valuation uncertainty shouldn't be confused with risk. Risk is the exposure that the owner of an asset has to potential future gains or losses. Risks can be caused by various factors affecting either the asset itself or the market in which it trades. And examples include, for tangible assets, reduction in market prices after the date of acquisition or valuation, a deterioration in the projected future income or security, a loss of liquidity comparing with other assets, and there are many other examples. So risk is part of what we deal with every day. Uncertainty is something that we've been facing, particularly during these times of the pandemic. And in these times, the importance of valuation standards and working to evaluation standards become even more important. They help increase market stability, particularly in instances such as secured lending. Different values for the same asset or inconsistent values across asset classes would further worsen market stability. It's extremely important to note that uniform, high-quality valuation standards provide a framework that enhances the ability of investors, regulators, and other interested parties to improve their decisions and actions. And when we're looking at valuation standards in a pandemic, there's some bits that are important to point out. Competence. It's extremely important that the valuations are undertaken by competent valuers, such as the members of AVA. there needs to be consistent reporting within asset classes and across asset classes. And this does not only reduce the risk and the liability for investors and stakeholders and the users of valuation report, but more importantly, it reduces the risk and reliability for valuers, the fact that they can show that they were working to the international valuation standards during the pandemic. And particularly important during this time is documentation and making sure that you have sufficient documentation within your valuation reports. Because if litigation does come, it won't be now, it will be several years from now. And those files that you have with your valuations and your valuation documentation would be your defense against any future litigation or liability. Once again, I would like to thank you all for giving us the time to present. Thank you very much, and I wish you well with the rest of your conference. Thank you, Thursday.
Thank you, Mr. Alec, for your presentation, and back to Mr. Nick Talbot as well for your presentation.
បាទសូមថ្លែងអំណរគុណដល់លោក Alexander និងលោក Nick Talbot ដែលបានធ្វើរបាយការណ៍ស្ដីពីសារៈសំខាន់នៃស្តង់ដារវិនិយោគអចលនវត្ថុអន្តរជាតិក្នុងបរិយាកាស COVID-19
Excellencies, delegates, ladies and gentlemen, the same as our other guest speakers, on behalf of our President, Mr. Soknim, we would like now to present the certificate of appreciation to Mr. Nick. Mr. Nick, thank you for your time.
ហើយដល់លោកជំទាវលោកស្រីនាងកញ្ញាសូមចូលរួមជាមួយយើងក្នុងការពុទ្ធសាសនាថ្លែងអំណរគុណទៅដល់លោក Nick Talbot.
As well to Mr. Alexander Aronson. Thank you and congratulations. Chief of delegates, participants, ladies and gentlemen, we have been together online. We are not together physically, but I think the Congress has been a very fruitful one and very interesting. We have so many speakers since early in the morning, and now our Congress will be coming to an end shortly. But I would like now to invite our president here in Cambodia, Mr. Soknim, to please say a few words, and I would like to hear as well what our president here will have to say, everyone. Thank you, Mr. President. Please now take your time.
លោកជំទាវលោកស្រីនាងកញ្ញាជាបន្តទៀតខ្ញុំមានកិត្តិយសសូមគោរពអញ្ជើញអង្គសមាជិកទាំងមូលស្ដាប់សម្រាប់ថាគន្លឹះបញ្ចប់របស់លោកជ្រើសជំនាញប្រធានសមាគមតម្លៃអចលនវត្ថុអាស៊ាននិងជាប្រធានសមាគមអ្នកវិទ្យាល័យទីផ្នែកអចលនវត្ថុនៃប្រទេសជាម្ចាស់កម្ពុជាសូមគោរពអញ្ជើញ
Good afternoon, Chief Delegates. That we have spent time for nearly 1 day for 2 days. It is for value time for all you to join this Congress in online by Cambodia. And I would like to special thank to our coordination team, our technical team from AVA, from technical team from CVAs that spend an effort to make this event to be happen, and it goes smooth by online, and then follow the timings that we have been planned in advance. I would like to say this is very good teamwork in Cambodia and in ASEAN country that support to each others. Without all country that support from your coordination, from chief delegate, from delegate, and secretary that work with our technical team, with Susan Jojo, with Mr. Sonsip, that spend a lot of time and effort to make this event to be happen. So I think this is the first time for Cambodia to do the virtual meeting online for the Congress for this ALVA to all the members that we cannot meet face to each other. Last but not least, I feel that it is very happy and then saying to all the efforts from the other country that spend a lot of effort and time to do the report for country report, speaker that provide us the value to speak and then share a lot of experience. We in Cambodia, we learn a lot from that experience, and then in ASEAN country too. We learn from each other. Like I know that from Thailand, they claim the first day, just one day for doing the title transfer. It is the good practice in ASEAN if we could do like that. So in Cambodia also have the trustee that foreign buyer could have the opportunity to buy the real estate in Cambodia. The service evaluation is still more confident to all the public that do the transaction of real estate. And then I hope that this service will provide us the more business for the customer to build trust and confidence. Besides this, we encourage ASEAN country to use one standard if they could. Cambodia is myself to our 130 company in Cambodia. We already launched that standard of ASEAN. We try to provide all that report of the standard to our member to use that to benefit and customize. Even though it is not the time that we are in the same for the one ASEAN community of standard valuation, but we also can have the same feeling and standard that we are in ASEAN. We can build more confident to the world. So I think this is very successful virtual Congress events. And then I would like to thank and then also to transfer my presidency to Mr. Pharmacy and Nazarodin from Indonesia, and he will to be the next presidency for AWAS. And I hope that Cambodia and our ASEAN teams will join me together to support him to be the good president. Could we make sure that the Congress of ALVA to be more fruitful and learning to each other from ASEAN country. This is the good time, and join me to say congratulations. And I would like to hand this over of presidency to Mr. Fema Nasi and Nazarodin, please.
Mr. President, That I am.
AVA ASEAN TVA Excellency,
ladies and gentlemen, the very special moment that we all have been waiting for has now arrived. We'd like to once again ask all of you to celebrate this moment of handing over from Mr. President Soknim to the new President of Indonesia, Mr. Vomansia and Nazarodin. Congratulations.
លោកជំទាវលោកស្រីនៅនឹងnhà ពេលនេះយើងដឹងហើយថាប្រធានសមាគមអ្នកវិតម្លៃអចលនវត្ថុអាស៊ានអាណត្តិក្រោយឆ្នាំ 2022 គឺលោក Vomansia Nazarodin មកពីសាធារណរដ្ឋឥណ្ឌូនេស៊ីសូមអបអរសាទរ
Congratulations once again to Mr. Vomansia and Nazarodin, the new president.
បាទសូមអបអរសាទរសាជាថ្មីម្ដងទៀតបាទទៅកាន់លោក Vomansia Nazarodin ដែលជាប្រធានសមាគមអ្នកវិតម្លៃអចលនវត្ថុអាស៊ានសម្រាប់អាណត្តិក្រោយឆ្នាំ 2022
I think this is such a lovely photos between the president of Cambodia and the president of Indonesia. And thank you to our technical team. Even if our both presidents physically are not together, but look like they are together. Wow, so beautiful. And thank you and congratulations.
បាទសូមអរគុណទៅដល់ក្រុមការងារបច្ចេកទេសយើងមែនទែនដែលបាទទោះបីជាលោកប្រធានទាំងពីរមិនមានវត្តមាននៅក្នុងកន្លែងជាមួយគ្នាមែនប៉ុន្តែហាក់ដូចជាមានវត្តមាននៅជាមួយគ្នាយ៉ាងដូចនេះដែរបាទសូមអរគុណទៅដល់ក្រុមការងារបច្ចេកទេស
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we have not ended the Congress just yet. We now would like to have your attention. Please don't leave us just yet. We want you to enjoy a very special video, especially for those of you who feel like you are missing Bali, Indonesia. Let's now go to Bali, Indonesia with all of us.
អាដាមលោកជំទាវលោកស្រីនាងកញ្ញាសូមកុំតន់អាចចាក់ឆ្ងាយពីសមាជលើកទី23របស់យើងយុគបន្តិចទៀតនេះនឹងជួបជាមួយវីដេអូស្ដីអំពីប្រទេសឥណ្ឌូនេស៊ីដែលជាប្រធានអាស៊ានវិតម្លាចលនាទ្រព្យនៅឆ្នាំក្រោយ
If you think of paradise, what do you think of? Maybe crystal blue water, a beautiful landscape, kind people, nice energy, and good food? In other words, Indonesia.
Thank you everyone for your attention. I hope you like Bali, Indonesia. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, next let us all hear from the new president of AVA for 2022, Mr. Pomansia and Nazaruddin.
អាដាមលោកជំទាវលោកស្រីនាងកញ្ញាអង្គសមាជលើកទី23ទាំង4សូមមេត្តាស្ដាប់សន្ទរកថា commitment បដិញ្ញាចិត្តរបស់លោក Financia Nazaruddin ដែលជាប្រធានអាស៊ានបដូវវេនសម្រាប់អចលនទ្រព្យឆ្នាំក្រោយ
Yeah, thank you very much, the honorable chief delegates and delegates of AVA member countries, and all distinguished speakers, invited guests, and participants. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good evening. and peace may upon all of us. Ladies and gentlemen, all along day, we have been attending the 23rd Asian Valuers Association Congress, which contains interesting discussions and presentations filled by resource persons from the government, professional pricers, and industry practitioners. I hope this Congress could grant all of us a proper understanding of the global economic conditions during and after the COVID-19 pandemic, so it can offer insight and consideration to every step taken in the development of our profession in each country. In this opportunity, I'm happy to announce that AVA Indonesia will be the next host of the 24th ASEAN Valuers Association Congress in 2022. I hope we can emulate the success of organizing this event as this year's host. Let's hope the pandemic will be contained soon and we are all granted a good health. Finally, I would like to thank to AVA Cambodia and the Cambodian Valuers and Estate Agents Association for holding AVA Congress this year. It's been a pleasure for me to be with you, all of you today. See you Indonesia. See you Indonesia next year. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Mr. President of Indonesia, as well as the new President of AVA for 2022.
បាទសូមថ្លែងអំណរគុណទៅដល់លោក Financia Nazaruddin ដែលជាប្រធានអាស៊ានប្រវេនផ្នែកអចលនទ្រព្យសម្រាប់អាណត្តិក្រោយ
Chief delegates, participants, ladies and gentlemen, the 23rd ASEAN Valuers Association Congress, hosted by Cambodian Valuers and Estate Agents Association, has now come to an end. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for everything. We really have a good time with all of you. Last but not least, please allow us to mention to you our main sponsors, Vitras Appraisal as Indication Plus, and Luxury Holiday Villas, Forest Harmony, and Golf Harmony, the first and biggest holiday villas project in Cambodia.
អាដាមលោកជំទាវលោកស្រីនៅនាងកញ្ញាសូមថ្លែងអំណរគុណចំពោះការចូលរួមរបស់អាដាមលោកជំទាវទាំងអស់ដែលបានចូលរួមនៅក្នុងសមាជលើកទី23ដ៏ជោគជ័យមួយនេះសូមជូនពរអាដាមលោកជំទាវប្រកបដោយភាពជោគជ័យជាបន្តបន្ទាប់ជាឆ្ងាយពីជំងឺ COVID-19 ឆ្លៀតនៅក្នុងឱកាសនេះកម្មវិធីយើងទាំងមូលសូមថ្លែងអំណរគុណទៅដល់ម្ចាស់ឧបត្ថម្ភកម្មវិធីក្រុមហ៊ុន Vitras Appraisal ដែលជាក្រុមហ៊ុនវិតម្លៃអចលនទ្រព្យនៅក្នុងព្រះរាជាណាចក្រកម្ពុជាដោយប្រើប្រាស់ប្រព័ន្ធបច្ចេកវិទ្យា Digital Indication Plus និងសូមថ្លែងអំណរគុណផ្ទះវិឡាលំហែកាយបែបអឺរ៉ុប Forest Harmony នាខេត្តកំពត
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, please join us to say once again congratulations to Mr. Financia and Nazaruddin as the new president of AVA for 2022. See you next year in Indonesia. Take care until we meet again. Goodbye, everyone.
អាដាមលោកជំទាវលោកស្រីនាងកញ្ញាសូមចូលរួមអបអរសាទរលោក Financia Nazaruddin ដែលជាប្រធានសមាគមអចលនវត្ថុឆ្នាំ 2022 ជួបគ្នាឆ្នាំក្រោយនៅឥណ្ឌូនេស៊ីយើងពីអ្នកសូមអរគុណនិងសូមជម្រាបលា Thank you everyone. Thank you Susan with Jojo. Thank you very much for your help. Thank you President Chrek Soknim. Thank you everyone.
Citra, makasih semua.
Terima kasih Pak. Terima kasih Bu Susan, Bapak Ibu semua.
Congrats Pak Firmansyah.
Wow, tahun depan sukses.
Ya Pak harus.
Amin.
Recording stopped.
Terima kasih ya semua ya.
Congrats Bu Susan ya.
Assalamualaikum.
For the excellent Congress.